Hello everybody and welcome back to the 97 English course. In today's recording we're going to be talking about Unit 5, the physical world. So without any further ado, you guys know the usual. We'll go over the key vocabulary here and then we'll start with the listening. Okay, repeat after me. Airport, art gallery, boat, bus station, cathedral, closed, coast, country, desert, east, flat, flow, forest, 100, internet cafe, island, join, jungle, lake, left, million, mountain, museum, north, open, railway station, range, restaurant, right, river, shopping mall, south, street, swimmer, take, 1,000, toilet, tourist, tourist office, town, turn, village, visit, waterfall, west, zoo. Okay, that was the key vocabulary for Unit 5. You can always go back to practice your pronunciation if you want. So now let's move on to the listening. Let me actually put this, yeah, okay. So now it seems like we have a map here, right? And we're gonna, after the listening, you guys should be able to understand the directions and what a lake is, what are mountains, and what is a coast, and you guys will get the idea. So now let's listen and point.
71. Unit 5. The Physical World. Lesson 1. Listening. Exercise A. Listen and point.
City, town, village, island, lake, mountain, river, coast, north, south, east, west, centre, northeast, southwest, northwest, southeast.
Okay, so I think that was pretty tough. So actually, before I do, play it again, I wanted to tell you guys something. So here we have numbers, right? And you have the red box over 1,000,000, right? And you have the orange circle here over 100K. And then finally you have the yellow circle over 10K. What that means is the population, right? So the number or population of people in a place. So for example, this is obviously a city because a city has the highest number of people living. And then we have town, so this is a town, right? All these are towns, by the way, so any orange circle that you see is a town. And finally, the one with the least numbers, sorry, is a village, okay? So all these are villages, okay? And here we have north, south, west, and east, okay? So north is always on top, okay? So on top of the map, this is north. All this is the north, okay? And then we move downwards, we have south. So this is the south, the bottom of the map. So they're opposites, okay? South and north are opposites. North is top, south is bottom, okay? And then we have east and west. also opposites. We have east on the right and west on the left. Okay? So east will be here and west will be here. Now let me play it one more time for you guys.
Lesson 1. Listening. Exercise A. Listen and point.
City, town, village, island, lake, mountain, river, coast, north, south, east, west, centre, northeast, southwest, northwest, southeast.
Okay, so I know it was, I bet it's actually, it was a bit confusing. So now I'm gonna play it again, but I'll be pausing it a lot now and solving it with you guys with, more explanation and stuff like that. So here we go.
71. Unit 5. Lesson 1. Listening. Exercise A. Listen and point.
City,
Okay, so she said city, so she wants to point out, a city. So here we know that the red box is, a place with over a million people living or population. So we have this and this. Both of these are cities, okay? So this is a city and this is a city. We'll just take this one out of convenience, okay?
town,
And the same thing. All of these are towns, you guys. Orange circles, all of these are towns. So pick whatever one you like and yeah, let's move on. So this is a town.
village,
And the same thing. We have a village, slightly or not slightly, the population is a lot lower. So here we go. We have a village. This is also a village, a village, a village, a village. All these are villages. Okay?
island,
Okay, now this is where the fun begins, actually. So an island is basically land, but it's surrounded by water, okay? So for example, a lake or, sea or a river of some sort. You guys get the idea. So, you guys see in the movies when, they say someone is stranded on an island. You guys ever, question, what does being stranded on an island mean? I mean, he can swim, the guy can swim, to leave if he wants, but there's so much water, it's this land right here, by the way. This is an island. It's kind of isolated from the rest of the world or from land in general. So it's just a piece of land just hanging by itself in the water, okay?
lake,
Okay. A lake is kind of like a river, but it's a kind of like a closed stream with a little bit of an opening that, water can go through or, a river or yeah, a river or sea could bring in more water. So for example, this could be a lake, okay? It doesn't have many openings, but you have this tiny opening right here. And this could also be a lake. You guys see? This is also a lake, right?
mountain,
And obviously, this one is self-explanatory. Mountains, you guys know the mountains, and they're usually brown or black in color. So here we have the mountains, and he even gives you the sign of a mountain as in a triangle. Okay, so these are mountains, and let's see if we have. Oh, yep, these are mountains.
river,
Okay. Now, we said that these were all lakes. Now, you could say this is a river right here. Okay? This is a river right here. Okay, so all of this is basically a river, right?
Coast.
Okay, so coast. What does coast mean? Coast usually means this part of land that basically looks at the river or sea. Okay, so let me give you actually a really good example. Here in Jeddah, where we, still where we're studying right now, Jeddah is it looks at the coast, right? So it's at the coast of the sea, right? That's why we have beaches and other cities don't, because Jeddah as a city is on the coast. Okay?
North.
Right. So now we're moving on to directions, and like I told you guys, north is up top. So all of this is north. Okay? So you can just put an N here, north.
South.
And like I told you guys, north, the opposite of north is south. So we go all the way down, and all of this is south. Okay? So just an S here, south.
East.
And here we have east. East is always on the right. Guys, remember it. E, the letter E always looks to the right. So east is always to the right, okay? So here we have east. All of this is east.
West.
And finally, west, the final one, and it's to the left, okay? So west is here. So just put a W here.
Center.
Okay, and we have center. This one is self-explanatory, something in the middle. So this city right here is center, and this whole area is basically the center.
Northeast.
Okay, so now she's getting a bit more complicated. What does she mean when she says northeast, right? So we know that the north is up here, but the moment you start moving a little bit more to the right, that's where we get more specific. And instead of saying just north, because all of this is the north, so when I want to tell someone a place exactly like where it is, I'm not going to say north. He'll be confused. So what do you mean by north? This. So I say northeast. So if the place, or let's say for example, let's take this town here for example. This is a prime example of a place in the northeast. Okay, it's a little bit to the right, and it's in the north. So northeast. Okay, so this part right here will be the northeast.
Southwest.
Okay, now literally the exact opposite, you guys. So south, we know that south is bottom, okay? And it's the same thing with north. It's confusing. So she said southwest. So south, and we know west is to the left. So southwest, okay, right here. So this area right here is southwest.
Northwest.
All right, now we have north and west. So the exact same thing, but instead of south, now we're in the north again. So north and west. So this mountain right here is a good example, and this town too, of northwest.
Southeast.
So, okay, so here we have, let me just pause this. So southeast, south, as you guys know, bottom, and east when it's looking over to the right. So southeast. Now let's go over to the second recording here, and let's see what he wants. So let's go.
72. Exercise A. Listen and point.
There are mountains in the northwest.
There is a lake in the southeast.
There is a large island.
There is a town in the north.
There are mountains in the south.
There is a city on the coast.
There is a city on a river.
There is a village on a lake.
There is a town in the center.
Okay, so it seems that the book has progressed from, just simple words to now, sentences with directions and mountains and coasts and such. So I'm going to play it again, but I'll be pausing it just like the first one, and we'll answer it together. Let's go.
72. Size, listen, and point.
There are mountains in the northwest.
Okay, so she said there are mountains on the northwest. So we know this is north and this is west, right? So west is always to the left, guys. Remember that. So here are the mountains that she's talking about. We also have a village, a town, but she wants the mountains. So these are the mountains.
There is a lake in the southeast.
Okay, so first he wants a lake in the southeast. So south is bottom, right? And then we go east is to the right, okay? And this is the lake that he's talking about, okay? So south, east, and this is the lake.
There is a large island.
Okay, so there is a large island. So we know that an island is basically a land basically surrounded or in the middle of, for example, the ocean or a river or a sea. Okay, so let's find the biggest one here. So it seems that this is the biggest one. So this is the biggest island. Okay,
There is a town in the north.
okay, so we know a town, all the towns are basically the orange circles, and going to the north is up top, so this one right here. So the orange circle up top is the north, or the town in the north. Okay?
There are mountains in the south.
Okay, so south means bottom, and here are the mountains. Okay? Mountains in the south.
There is a city on the coast.
Okay? A city on the coast. So basically a city that's looking, just basically there's like water in front of it. Okay? So we have this right here. So this red square is the city, obviously. We only have two cities, by the way, on the map. And this one is not even close to the coast. This one is, so we'll take this one right here.
There is a city on a river.
Okay. Now, we know that this one was on the coast, so this one will be on the river. I think we could say that, all of this is on the river too, because this is not on the coast. So we could say that this one, since it's really close to, to the river, or not really close, it's basically just under it or over it. So we could say that it's right over the river. Now let's go forward.
There is a village on a lake.
Okay, so we have a village on a lake. So let's check the lakes, and it seems that we have we have the village, and it's right here. So we could say that this village is on the coast, and this is sort of a lake, like I told you guys before. So this could be considered a lake, right? With I'm not too sure what my computer is doing, but okay. So we have this lake here, right? And then it moves on to either a bigger, sea/river, okay? So this is the village right here.
There is a town in the center.
Okay, so I don't really see a town in the center. I only see, the closest I see is this city right here in the center. So we'll have to go, as close as possible. And I'd say the closest one is, this one right here. I know it's on the coast and it's more to the east than it is to the center, but it's the closest one I could find. So this is the town right here that's considered to them in the center, okay? And I think that's it, right? Yeah, that's it. All right. So that was simple enough. Now let's move on to Exercise B, 73, listen and find.
73. Exercise B. Listen and find.
1,
I live in a town. It is on the coast.
2, I live in a village. It is on 2 rivers. 3,
I live on an island. It is a very small island. There is only one village.
4, I live in a town. It is in the south of the country. I don't live on the coast. I live in the mountains. 5,
I live in a town in the east of the country. It is in the mountains.
Okay, so that was simple enough. Now he's kind of like, letting people give the expression and just letting you know. Like, for example, if someone is talking to you and he's, telling you where he lives or this and that. So you got to be able to understand. So now we're going to listen to it again. And like before, we're going to be pausing it and just basically to answer or just basically to pinpoint their location on the map. Okay, let's go.
73. Exercise, listen and find.
1,
I live in a town. It is on the coast.
Okay, so she lives on a town and it's on the coast. So just like Jeddah, the city that we live in right now, it's on the coast. So looking at the coast right here, all of this is the coast, by the way, guys. So we keep moving and look at that. We have a town right here. So this is the town that the lady is talking about, okay? So a town on the coast. Number 2.
2, I live in a village. It is on 2 rivers.
Okay, so he lives in a village and it's on 2 rivers. So if I had to guess, I'd probably say the closest one is this one, this village right here, because it's between 2 rivers, or basically on 2 rivers. Okay, so I think this, or actually, it might be this one and it might be this one as well, because look, you guys, if we go forward, this is a river, right? And it turns into a lake. But I think it's too far-fetched. I think this one is our safe bet. So this one right here, a village, and we have, this river right here, or this opening basically for a river, and the village is right on it. Okay, let's move on.
3,
I live on an island. It is a very small island. There is only one village.
Okay, so she lives on an island, and it's the smallest island. Okay, so I can already tell that it's this one right here because it's the smallest island, and she also said it has one village. Okay, so one village, smallest island right here. So this one. Okay.
4, I live in a town. It is in the south of the country. I don't live on the coast. I live in the mountains.
Okay, so we know that this man lives in the mountains, okay? That's a really good clue. And he also said he lives in the south and not on the coast, okay? So he's not going to be living anywhere here. So we'll go south, okay? And oh, would you see that we have the mountains right here and the town that the guy lives in, okay? So south, mountains, and definitely not on the coast, okay?
5,
I live in a town in the east of the country. It is in the mountains.
Okay, now this lady said she also lives in the mountains, really good clue, and she lives in the east of the country and in a town. So here we have a town in the mountains and it's to the right, so obviously the east. Okay, And I think that's it, right? Okay, great. That is it. So I know this was kind of, a different exercise than what we're used to, but I thought it was fun nonetheless. It gave me a challenge personally. But now let's move on. So we have some words here, obviously A to H, and I'll just give, a quick pronunciation, and you can always pause and, read it out loud if you want. So here we go. Lake, river, desert, city, jungle, mountains, island, forest. And I realized this was not in order the way I said it, but that's fine. Anyway, so now we're going to have to listen and number. And you guys know this. We just basically listen, and depending on the number, when the word was said, or I'm not too sure, is this going to be a word or a sentence? We're going to have to listen to it first. So I'll play it the first time, and then, I'll play it again while I solve it. Here we go.
74. Exercise D1. Listen and number.
1,
My house is high up in the mountains.
2. I live in a small house on a lake. 3.
I come from a tiny village on an island.
4. There is a small river in my town. 5.
I come from the capital city of my country.
6. There aren't any deserts in my country. 7.
I love going to the jungle and seeing all the animals and birds.
8. There is a big forest in the south of my country.
Alright, so 8 pictures, 8 sentences. Now let's listen to it again. I won't be pausing this time. I'll just be writing it down along as we go, alright? So focus up and try to do it on your own again.
74. Exercise D1. Listen and number.
1,
My house is high up in the mountains.
2. I live in a small house on a lake. 3.
I come from a tiny village on an island.
4. There is a small river in my town. 5.
I come from the capital city of my country.
6. There aren't any deserts in my country. 7.
I love going to the jungle and seeing all the animals and birds.
8. There is a big forest in the south of my country.
Okay, so number 1 was C, number 2 was A, number 3, where was number 3? Was E, okay? So mountains, lake, island, river, city, desert, jungle, and forest, okay? So now we're going to listen to the second one. He's going to want us to answer, okay? So I'll obviously let it play the first time, and then the same, our style. So I'll just listen to it the second time, but I'll be speaking along, and answering the questions. Let's go.
75. Exercise D2. Listen and answer.
Picture A.
Are there any clouds in the picture?
Picture B. What can you see in the picture? Picture C.
Is there any snow on the mountains?
Picture D. What time of day is it? Picture E.
Is the island big?
Picture F. Are there any animals in the picture? Picture G.
Can you see any birds?
Picture H. Are there any trees in the picture?
Okay, I hope you were able to answer all the questions. Now let's listen to it again, and this time I'll be speaking in that brief 2-second window. Here we go.
75. Exercise D2. Listen and answer.
Picture A.
Are there any clouds in the picture?
Yes,
Picture B. What can you see in the picture?
I can see tall buildings.
Picture C.
Is there any snow on the mountains?
No,
Picture D. What time of day is it?
it is around dawn.
Picture E.
Is the island big?
No, it's not.
Picture F. Are there any animals in the picture?
No,
Picture G.
Can you see any birds?
no, I cannot.
Picture H. Are there any trees in the picture?
Yes, there are a lot of trees in this picture. Okay, so now let's move on to, oh, I did not mean to do that. So here we have the skills check, and he wants us to listen and tick the words with that ow sound. Okay, so we're not going to do this, we're going to come back to it, but just wanted to give you guys a brief idea. So the words with the O and U, for example, south, you see that ow? Town, ow. Country, obviously not. It uses O and U, but we don't say it. We say country. We don't say country. We say country. But mountain, on the other hand, you see that? Mau, mountain, okay? Coast, obviously not. Hour, yes. Ow, ow, ow. You guys see that? Now, same thing. Brown, okay? Around, snow, obviously not. Yellow, a cow, accountant, okay? Cloud, cold. Cold is obviously not going to be ticked. So now we're going to, oh, I keep doing this by accident. So exercise E, it wants us to read and then listen and number. So this is just a simple listen and number. Okay, so let's listen to it. And obviously we're going to listen to it twice, like always. So let's go.
76. Exercise E1. Listen and number.
I am from a large country called Polonia. I come from a village. Well, no, it's not a village really. It's a small town. It is in the east. It isn't near the coast. It's high up in the mountains. It's very cold in December and January, but it's hot in June and July. In the south of the country, there is a large jungle. In the north, there is a very large forest.
Okay, so instead of me actually trying to solve it, it seems that she's going a little faster than usual. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, let you guys listen to it again, and then after that, I'll solve it with you guys. Okay, so just try to focus up here, and I have to too because I'm actually gonna solve it right after it's over. So let's go.
76. Exercise E1. Listen and number.
I am from a large country called Polonia. I come from a village. Well, no, it's not a village really. It's a small town. It is in the east. It isn't near the coast. It's high up in the mountains. It's very cold in December and January, but it's hot in June and July. In the south of the country, there is a large jungle. In the north, there is a very large forest.
Alright, so I actually wrote these down, and what do you guys think was number one? That's correct, it was country, okay? You could always say it to your partner, and why is it not writing? Here we go. So country, number one, okay? What was number two? That's correct, it was village. So village was number two. And what was number three? It was town. Yep. Number four was coast. And number five was cold. So number five was cold. And number six was hot. So number six was hot. Number seven was south. Here we go. Number seven was south. And number eight was actually jungle. Okay? And finally, number nine was forest. Okay? Now that was just a simple, listen and number. And let's check our answers. And here we go. 9 out of 9. Okay? Now let's go back to that, that skills check that I told you guys about. And let's actually tick the correct words here. So first of all, you guys listen to how the words are pronounced. I know I just said it, but now listen to it from, someone other than me, basically. And try to identify, before starting this ticking exercise, try to say the words with that same ow that you're going to hear, okay?
78. Skills check. Listen. Tick the words with ow.
South, town, country, mountain, coast, hour, now, brown, around, snow, yellow, accountant, cloud, cold.
Okay, let's listen to that one more time. But this time I'll be ticking along as we go.
Listen. Tick the words with ow.
South, town, country, mountain, coast, hour, now, brown, around, snow, yellow, accountant, cloud, cold.
Okay, so these are all the words that have that ow sound, or not all of them, just basically the ones in the example. Okay, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Alright, you guys, so now moving on to lesson 2, speaking. And here we have these two pictures right here. And I'd like for you to tell me what you see. Pause the video right now. Tell me exactly what you see. So for me, I see, trees, a beach, a nice beach, a great blue sky, and basically a place called Corfu in Greece, right? And this looks like a tourist resort, obviously, a place that is made specifically to attract tourists to the country. So now let's go here to what are the things that you can see in these two pictures. So I'm actually going to read these words first to you guys for pronunciation purposes, and then we're going to try and see how many of these are actually in the two pictures. Okay, so here we go. A beach, tourists, some fish, a city, a hotel, some animals, the sea, sand, a mountain, some boats, some trees, some swimmers, an airport, a river, some flowers, the sky, some birds, some insects. Okay, that was simple enough. You can always go back and practice your pronunciation like always. Now let's check out these words and see if they fit with the word. So obviously first one, really easy, a beach. Here we have a beach right here, so this one will be true. We have tourists, of course. You can see the tourists. some fish. Well, we can't really see fish, but I'm pretty sure, they're in the beach somewhere, so in the water. So let's just say it's not true, okay? Because we don't see it in the picture. So he's saying a city. We don't see a city actually. We have the town, the capital of Corfu, and Corfu itself. So I don't think it's a city, so nope. A hotel. I think this might be a hotel. So yeah, we'll say yeah, this is a hotel. Some animals. I don't see animals, so nope. The sea. Here you go. The sea's right here. Sand. Of course, sand. A mountain. Let's actually check. Are there mountains? Is this considered like a mountain? Maybe? Yeah, I think it is. So, a mountain. Some boats. Here we have, do we have some boats? Yeah, right here. So, we have some boats. And in this picture as well, we have kind of a boat slash. Oh, here it is, actually. This is like a ship, but these two are boats. So, some boats. Some trees. Oh, there are a lot of trees here. So, yep, we have trees. Some swimmers. Probably, if you count those people that are about to go in the water. So some swimmers. An airport. Not too sure I see an airport near any place. So, or actually, yeah, there is an airport. Look at that. So, in the capital, we have this sign, and this plain sign usually means an airport. So, yep, we have an airport nearby. A river. Yep, we have a river close by. Some flowers. Some flowers. I'm not too sure. I don't know if I can see any flowers. So let's just say no flowers. Okay. The sky, obviously, the sky. Some birds. And I don't see any birds, so nope. No birds. Some insects, obviously not. I can barely see the tourists, the tourists, let alone the insects. So let's just move on. So here we have, now we're going to listen to a talk about Corfu here, and he wants us to make notes. Okay, so I'm going to play it the first time, and you guys try to solve it, and then I'll play it again while I try to solve it, and oops, it is already solved. Here we go.
80. Exercise C. Listen to a talk about Corfu. Make notes.
Are you ready? Okay, here's some information about Corfu. Corfu is a great holiday island. It's very small. It's on the west coast of Greece. Many tourists go on vacation there every year. The capital is, Corfu town in the northeast. There's a small airport near the town. There are a lot of hotels and holiday villages near the coast, and there are many beautiful beaches. You can go swimming and you can do water sports. There isn't a zoo or a theme park, okay? There are many mountains in the north. There are many trees and flowers. In the summer, it's very hot, about 40 degrees. There aren't any big cities. Okay, that's it. Any questions?
Alright, that was actually fun. She seems to go a bit fast, so instead of trying to write the answers as she goes, this will probably confuse me and you guys as well. So I'll let her play again. Pause whenever you want, try and get the answers, and I'll solve it right after it's done, right? Here we go, one more time.
80. Exercise C. Listen to a talk about Corfu. Make notes.
Are you ready? Okay, here's some information about Corfu. Corfu is a great holiday island. It's very small. It's on the west coast of Greece. Many tourists go on vacation there every year. The capital is, Corfu town in the northeast. There's a small airport near the town. There are a lot of hotels and holiday villages near the coast, and there are many beautiful beaches. You can go swimming and you can do water sports. There isn't a zoo or a theme park, okay? There are many mountains in the north. There are many trees and flowers. In the summer, it's very hot, about 40 degrees. There aren't any big cities. Okay, that's it. Any questions?
Alright, so now let's make a few notes about Corfu here. So, first question, where is it? So, as I recall, it was in the west coast of Greece. Okay, so west coast of Greece. Oh, I just made a mistake. My bad, guys. So, west coast of, and Greece will be in capital. Okay. Question number 2, how big is it? So he's talking about the village itself, or not the village, the tourist resort. How big is it? So it's actually very small, as I recall. The young lady said that it was very small. 3, is it hot in the summer? And it's actually very hot. So people usually visit it during the summer, and it's it's really hot. So very hot, or not, oops, very hot. I think she said something along the lines of 40 degrees or something like that. Let's just write it down and let's see if the software picks it up. Alright, question number 4. What is the capital? And the capital is Corfu town. This one was simple. It was in the picture as well above. Corfu town. Okay. Number 5, is there an airport? And yes, there is an airport. Okay. What can you do there? So what are the activities that you or tourists can do? So we have obviously swimming. Okay, and we have other water activities. So let's just write in water sports, for example. Okay, now let's check our answers. Check answers, and oh, it did not pick it up. Interesting. So if we get rid of the 40 degrees here, okay, it still doesn't pick it up for some reason. So is it hot in the summer? I'm pretty sure it's hot, so I'm not wrong here. So there's something wrong because it's really hot in the summer, okay? So how about if we try it again? Is it it doesn't pick it up. Interesting. So is it hot in the summer? What if we write yes? Here you go. This might work. Here we go. So it was just a simple, misunderstanding between the software and what I just wrote. And if you look at it, I kind of wrote it wrong as well. So is it hot in the summer? Yes. Just a simple yes is all we needed, okay? So where is it? West coast of Greece. How big is it? Very small. Is it hot in the summer? Or in summer? Yes. What is the capital? Corfu town. Is there an airport? Yes. What can you do there? Swimming, water sports. Okay? Simple enough. Let's reset this and go. Now, let's move on. So, exercise D, make sentences about Corfu. So, Corfu is on the west coast of Greece. That's the first one. I could say, making a few sentences here off the top of my head. Corfu is very hot in the summer. That's the sentence, okay? And one more is Corfu town is the capital of Corfu. Okay? There is an airport near Corfu. Okay? That's also a sentence. You can swim and play water and do water sports in Corfu. Okay? These are all sentences. You don't have to write the exact same ones that I just did. You can always just use your own, knowledge and the information above to make your own sentences. Okay? Here we have just a quick pronunciation check, something called linking. Look at some sentences from the talk, okay? So notice the linking of some words. So if you guys remember the talk here that we just listened to, there are a few words or letters that are actually just, we try linking them together, right? So I don't say there is not a zoo. I just go quick, so there isn't a zoo, right? There aren't any big cities. So I don't say there are not any big cities. There aren't any big cities, okay? So there's a small airport. There are a lot of hotels. There isn't a zoo. There aren't any big cities, okay? Now practice, keep rewinding and practice saying these sentences, okay? You should be able to master these before we move on, right? So you should be able to say, there's a small airport, just like that, simple. There are a lot of hotels. There isn't a zoo. There aren't any big cities, right? Simple enough. Now let's move on. And here we have, oops, give me a second. So we have some information here, and he wants to know if, these things are true for our town/city. So obviously we're going to be talking about Jeddah here. So, and this is the style that we're going to use to answer. So for example, there are beaches near your town. No, that's false. There aren't any beaches near our town. And this is how he wants you to, it's like talking to someone, right? But giving extra detail. So let's check it out. There are beaches near my town. Yes, there are beaches near our town. Or I should say, he says town or city, and we obviously live in a city, so we'll just consider town here as a city, okay? So there are beaches near my town. Yes, that's correct. There are beaches near our city, okay? There's a big lake. Yes, that's true. There's a big lake near our city. There's a water park. Yes, that's true. There is a big water, or not a big, there's a water park in our city. There are a lot of hotels. Yes, that's true. There are a lot of hotels in our city. There isn't an airport. No, that's false. There are 2 airports in our city, right? There aren't any tourists in my town. No, that's false. There are a lot of tourists in my city, okay, or town. You get the idea. 7. There are some mountains. Yes, that's true. There are some mountains. Or should I say a lot of mountains? But if I say a lot of mountains, that means that some is wrong. Let's just use some here, okay? So there are some mountains. Yes, that's true. There are some mountains in our city. There aren't any restaurants. No, that's a big false. There are a lot of restaurants in our city, right? Now, moving on to exercise F, study the information about Cozumel in Mexico. Add one more piece of information to the table. Use the internet if necessary. Okay. You work in a travel agency. Give a talk to some tourists about Cozumel. I think that's how it's pronounced. Okay. So here we have, this pic right here. It gives us a few ideas about Cozumel as a city, right? And he wants us to use this information and give a talk, like you're someone in a travel agency and you're trying to recommend some tourists to go to said place. So let's actually use this to our advantage. So, by the way, just before we start, skills check, giving a talk. By the way, guys, you always have to show enthusiasm in a talk and smile, right? So say the important words strongly. So for example, let's say here we have, there are a lot of tourists that visit Cozumel, right? So I say a lot of tourists, show enthusiasm and stress the important word, right? Talk about the good sides of the place, right? And make sure it's a lot more than the negative aspect. So for example, it has colorful fish and turtles. There are a lot of tourists, right? It's a small island. Okay, so it's in the Caribbean. Good. Talk about the good things first, get it out of the way, and you can slowly ease into the negatives, which are not really negatives. They're just things that, not there, for example. Okay? So, showing enthusiasm is really important. Please smile. It's something so simple, yet people always forget. I talked about this before. Always smile. And important words strongly. So, if you want to say something important, a word is coming up, say that strongly. And, of course, use good intonation. Don't speak so quietly and don't shout, okay? Use a good tone and move forward with it, right? And stress the important words. Okay, so now let's look here. So the Cozumel, it's in the Caribbean Sea, southeast coast of Mexico. Okay? And how big? Okay, so it's a small island, 800 kilometers square. Okay, Tourists, many, so a lot of tourists. Nature, colorful, fish and turtles. However, there are no mountains, lakes, rivers, waterfalls. We have big towns. One is San Miguel de Cozumel. Okay. Does it have an airport? One near San Miguel. Okay, so near the big town. Hotel and restaurants. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Many. Sports, swimming, many water sports. And other information, we'll just, leave that blank for now. So now, let me, give a talk about, if I worked in a travel agency, what I would say, right? And after I do this, you pause the video and each one of you guys try and give a talk like you're actually recommending or just giving brief information to a person about this place. Okay, so here we go. I'll go first. So Cozumel is a small island in the Caribbean Sea. Okay, it is near the southeast coast of Mexico. It is 800 square kilometers and it has many tourists every year. Okay, there are colorful fish and there are turtles. However, there are no mountains, but there are many lakes, rivers, and waterfalls. So that makes up for it. There is one big town. It is called San Miguel de Cozumel. Okay, there is an airport near the town, and there are also many hotels and restaurants. And for activities, you can swim and do many water sports and water-related activities. Okay, so this is how I would talk if I was in a travel agency and recommending or just giving information about this place. Okay, now I'd like for you, before we move on, pause the video and go do it, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, you guys, so now moving on to lesson 4, reading. Looks like we have a map here and we have some countries. So let's go. Here we have Italy, right? And the capital is Rome, and this is how it looks like on the map. And then we have Australia, and the capital is Canberra. Then we have China, Beijing. This is, by the way, how all these countries look on the world map. Then we have South Africa, and the capital of South Africa is Pretoria. Then we have Mexico, and the capital is Mexico City. We have Egypt, capital is obviously Cairo. And finally, Nigeria, and the capital is Abuja. Okay, so now here he wants us to know which country is each text about. So we have some text here, or should I say, information about each country, and he wants to know, what is number 1 or what is number 2, which information belongs to which country. Okay, so let us read number 1 here. So 1, there is a large river. It starts in a large lake in the south. It goes to the coast in the north. Okay, so there is a large river. So let's look around. So this looks like a large river, you guys. Okay, and it starts in a large lake in the south. Okay, so you guys know south is the bottom. So this looks like a large lake, and it goes to the coast of, or in the north. So here you go, it goes up to the north. Okay, so number 1 will be Egypt. Now let's go to number 2. There are mountains on the west coast. There is a large lake in the center of the country. Okay, so we have mountains on the west coast. So let's go to the west coast and see if which one has mountains. So it looks like Mexico is the only one that has mountains on the west coast. And what else? There is a large lake in the center of the country. So look at this right here. We have a lake here, exactly in the center. So number 2 will be Mexico. Now, moving on to number 3. There are mountains in the center of the country. There are also mountains in the north. There are 2 large islands. One island is in the west and the other island is in the south. So let's go again. There are mountains in the center of the country. Let's check and see. And I'm guessing it's definitely not Mexico. Not South Africa, there's nothing here. It seems to be Italy because here are the mountains, you guys. It's in the center. And what else? There are also mountains in the north. So there are also mountains in the north for Italy, right? What else? There are two large islands. One island is in the west and the other island is in the south. So we have an island in the west right here, you guys, and in the south at the very bottom. And we have mountains all over. So number 3 will be Italy. Now let's go to number 4. There are two very long rivers. They start in the mountains in the center of the country. They flow to the coast in the east. Okay, so there are two very long rivers and they start in the mountains. So I don't see anything else or any other country that has two rivers right here except for China. So you guys can see this is a river and this is another river. Let's see what else. They start in the mountains in the center of the country. They flow to the coast in the east. So as you can see, they flow to the coast in the east. Nigeria does too, but it only has one, okay? Not two. That's why I chose China. And they start from the center, like he said. So China will be number 4. Now moving on. There are mountains in the southeast. A large river starts in the mountains and goes to the coast in the west. So number 5, there are mountains in the southeast. So let's go to the southeast here. And so south is bottom. And if we get to the east, we see mountains here. So South Africa, it looks like this one is going to be South Africa. A large river starts in the mountains and goes to the coast in the west. So a large river starts in the mountains. So as you can see, it's here. And it just keeps going to the coast. Okay? So number 5 will be South Africa. There is a large lake in the northeast of the country. There are two large rivers. They go to the sea in the south of the country. There is a desert in the north and there is a jungle in the southeast. So obviously this is the last one, but for, information's sake, let's do it like the rest of the others. So there is a large lake in the northeast. So where is the large lake? So as you can see, northeast right here, we have a large lake. Okay, and what else? There are two large rivers. So we have two large, or I'm guessing this is supposed to be 3, but I'm guessing because these are taller. So two large rivers. Okay, they go to the sea in the south of the country. So south of the country is right here, but I only see one. So there is a desert in the north, right? So there's a desert in the north. Let's check it. So we have a desert up here in the north, right? And there's a jungle in the southeast. So this is south, this is east. So this is kind of like a jungle. Okay? Nigeria. So now let's go to exercise C. Read each definition. What is the feature? Okay. So you guys remember the words that we talked about in the last lesson? So for example, desert, lake, river. These are basically the definitions for these words. So we're going to have to, but instead we're going to have to write the words down. So the definitions are here, but we're going to have to write the words down. Okay? So let's go with number 1. It is water. It moves from a high area to the sea. Okay, so I know it's some sort of water, so let me break it down. So for example, we have sea, river, lake, and maybe stream, right? So these are the 4 possibilities that I have, okay? It moves from a high area to the sea, right? So it goes from a high area to, and off it goes to the sea, okay? So number 1 will be river. Okay, a river goes from a high area to the sea, and it's obviously water. Okay, second one is also water, so it is water. There is land all around. Okay, so it's water. It's kind of like isolated, more isolated, so it doesn't run off to the sea like a river. So it's water, but there is land all around. So this is what we call a lake. Okay, so a lake is, just that part that has some water and there is land all around. Okay, let's go to number 3. It is a very high piece of land. Okay, so you guys know a very high piece of land is a mountain, right? That's correct. It can be really high depending on the height. I don't consider hills to be that high, honestly. So when I say it is a very high piece of land, I'm talking about mountains. Okay? Now let's go to number 4. It is land. There is water all around. You guys remember when I told you in the listening section when I told you guys about an island? What is an island? It is basically an isolated, it is basically isolated land with water all around. That water could be, sea, could be a river, but for the most part, it's usually sea. So it is land, there is water all around, will be an island. Island. Okay? 5. The land meets the sea here. Okay, and this is the coast. You guys remember the coast when I told you guys about the city Jeddah and how, this is where Jeddah meets the sea. And this is on the coast. Okay? So actually, let me go. So this is the coast, you guys. Okay? This part right here where the land, obviously this should be water. Let me just go here just for explanation. Here we have the coast, and here we have the coast, and this part right here where the land meets the water is what is called the coast. Okay? Now let's go to the last one. It is very hot in the daytime. There aren't any trees. Okay, so this one is obviously, this one's obvious, desert, because it's really hot in the daytime and there are no trees whatsoever. Okay? So now let us move on here. So looks like we have Australia. Okay, so look at the map. What is the name of this country? Obviously, this is Australia on the world map. This is what Australia looks like. What do you know about this country? To be honest, I know it's a very large country and that the capital is called Canberra. Okay, that is all I know for now. I'm sure we'll find out more once we read this text right here. Okay, so so we're gonna have to read this, so let me read it for you guys. Okay, and then we're gonna move on to the exercises. Okay, Australia is a very large country. The capital is Canberra. It is in the southeast of the country. It is near the coast. There are several mountain ranges in Australia. The main mountains are on the southeast coast. They are called the Australian Alps. There are also mountains on the east coast. They are called the Great Dividing Range. In the southeast of the country, there are 2 rivers. The Darling comes from the Great Dividing Range. The Murray comes from the Australian Alps. The rivers join and go to the coast in the south. In the center of the country, there is a large lake. It is called Eyre. A river flows into the lake from the Great Dividing Range. There is a large desert called the Gibson in the center of the country. There is a large island called Tasmania in the southeast. On the south coast, there is a city. It is called Hobart. 6 million tourists visit the country every year. Many visitors go to Uluru in the Gibson Desert. It is a low, flat mountain. Okay, so we got, some information from this text right here. Obviously, things that I did not know before. And now he wants us to scan the text, find and underline names. Okay, and what is each name? So is it like a city, a mountain, etc.? So now let's go. I'm sure we'll have to probably read this again. Okay, so obviously the first word is Australia, so we will underline that. And Australia, obviously, it's a country. Okay, now what I want you guys to think of here is, if you don't know, for example, what a certain word is in a text, right? When you're reading something, always try to go forward and backward in an attempt to get the meaning, right? So I might not know what is Australia. Is it like a city? Let's say, I don't know what Australia is, But the fact that he told me is a very large country. Now I know what Australia is because he just said that it's a country. Okay? A very large one too. Right? The capital is Canberra. So if someone just starts reading and his eyes just stumble upon Canberra, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know that the capital of Australia was Canberra, right? So the fact that I looked, so he said the capital. Now I know. Okay? It is in the southeast of the country. Okay? So Canberra will underline Canberra as well, and it is a city. Okay? The capital city. It is near the coast. There are several mountain ranges on Australia. Underline Australia again as it is a country. The main mountains are on the southeast coast. They are also called the Australian Alps. Okay, so we know that these are the main mountains and their names are the Australian Alps. Okay, so Australian Alps here is the name of the main mountains. There are also mountains on the east coast. They are called the Great Dividing Range. Okay, so now another set of mountains on the east coast, and they're called the Great Dividing Range. So we'll underline this right here. Okay, in the southeast of the country, there are two rivers. The Darling comes from the Great Dividing. Okay, so now look at that. So the Darling right here, if you go back, there are two rivers. So we know that one river now is called the Darling. Okay, this is the name of one river that comes from the Great Dividing Range. And you guys remember the Great Dividing Range? The name of the mountains that come from the or not come that are in the east coast. Okay, the Murray comes from the Australian Alps. Now that's the name of the second river, the Murray, and it comes from the Australian Alps, the name of the mountains, okay, that are in the southeast coast. The rivers join and go to the coast in the south. In the center of the country, there is a large lake. It is called Eyre. Okay, so we know that the name of the large lake is Eyre. So for example, if someone just starts reading randomly and he just stumbles upon this sentence right here, so he reads, it is called Eyre. What the hell is that supposed to mean? I don't know. So you go back. So when you go back, there is a large lake. It is called Eyre. Now I can understand. Oh, it's the name of a lake. Okay? A river flows into the lake from the Great Dividing Range. Okay? These are all names. There is a large desert called the Gibson in the center of the country. So we know that the Gibson is the name of a large desert in the center of the country. Okay? There is a large island called Tasmania. Now we know that there is a large island called Tasmania. So these are all names, and it is in the southeast. Okay? On the south coast, there's a city. It is called Hobart. So there's a city, and it's called Hobart. Name of the city. 6 million tourists visit the country every year. Many visitors go to Uluru in the Gibson Desert. So 6 million tourists visit the country every year. Okay, so Uluru, I'm not sure how to my bad. So many visitors go to Uluru in the Gibson Desert, and it is a low, flat mountain. Okay, so this time, instead of going backwards, now when you're reading, right, you don't always go backwards only. If you don't see anything, so the reason I read that twice was because I wanted to see if there was any, for example, valuable information that I missed. So what does Uluru mean, right? So I'm not too sure. But if you keep going, just keep on reading for like 2 more sentences, right? In the Gibson Desert, it is a low, flat mountain. So now I know that it's not just any mountain, it's a low, flat mountain called Uluru. All right? So there you go, you guys. So just scan it again, try reading it again, or just do it with a different book. Make sure you practice this. And here we go. It's actually in the skills check as well. So understanding names. Find the underlined names in the text. So what is each name? Look forward and backwards in a text. So for example, Australia is a very large country. As I told you guys, you could always look in the front and back to check, just to see, if there's any information that can help you identify the meaning of a certain word or name, okay? Now, let's go to the final one here, exercise G, okay? We have matched each word from the text with its meaning, okay? So, in the text, we had these words right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, till 6. We have range, called, join, flows, visit, and flat. So number 1, range, means a group of mountains. Okay, so range is a group of mountains. Now number 2, the word is called. So basically when I say something is called, I'm usually referring to a name. So number 2 will be name. So called, usually I'm talking about, it's called a glass, okay? Or it's called a monitor, the name of something, okay? Number 3 is join. And join in the text means make two into one, okay? So when I say, for example, two rivers join, what that means is make two into one. So the two rivers, collide with each other and they turn into one, okay? So join, number 3, will be make two into one. Here will be number 3. Now let's go to number 4. We have flows. And flows here means goes along. Flows means to just simply go along, okay? Just, but this is not the the intended use of the word here, but I'm just making an example. So when when someone, when you're just hanging out with someone and he says, go with the flow, basically, go with the flow means to just simply move along with whatever that person or the guy you're talking to is saying, right? Or whatever he's doing. Just, don't ask too many questions. Don't be annoying. Just go with the flow, okay? Obviously, this is not what it means here, but I'm just giving you an example, okay? So flows will be goes along. Goes along could be, a river moving along a certain area, or it could simply mean, like I told you guys, not asking too many questions, just simply going with the flow with someone, right? Now, number 5 will be visit. Here we have, and visit will be go to, okay? So visit, you guys know what visit means, simply to just go somewhere, visit a place, okay? So visit means go to. And finally, we have number 6, flat. Flat means something like a straight line. So, you guys know what curved means, right? So curved means that it's simply not straight, not flat. Curved means it kind of takes that like a line, but a line takes kind of like a bump, right? So this is usually what a curve means, but when it's flat, it's completely flat, like a pencil or a line, a straight line, okay? So I'll see you guys in writing. Okay, you guys, so now moving on to lesson 5, writing and grammar, and this is the final lesson of this unit right here. So let's go straight to exercise A. We have, 2 letters are missing from each row. So we have all these words and they're missing two letters, okay? What are the letters? And read the skills check and check your answers. So let's actually read the skills check first. Here we spell ow, you guys remember that ow sound with OU or OW. Examples, we have south, town, down, brown. You guys see how I say that? Town, south, down, brown, okay? But one more thing, he says, be careful. Some words with OU and OW actually have different sounds. So not every word that has OW or OU has that ow sound. So for example, I have yellow or country. They obviously don't have that ow sound. Yellow is just a normal word, sorry. Country is a normal word as well, okay? So just make sure you have the right pronunciation, and just because a word has OU or OW doesn't necessarily mean it has that ow sound, okay? So now let's actually open the exercise here. And what do you guys think of this word, this first one? It's actually gonna be south, okay? And it has that ow sound. So I'll write south, okay? Here we'll go with number 2. We'll go starting by the sides. So this one is obviously mountain. Okay? Mow. Ow. Mountain. Okay? Third will be cloud. Okay? O-U as well. Cloud. And finally, this is hour. Okay? So, hour. Now, moving on, we have town. Okay? This is town. Now, this has O-W, not O-U. So, town. Brown. Okay? O-W as well. Down. O-W. And finally, now. Okay? Now, moving on to the third row here, we have yellow. Yellow. Here we go. And we have snow. And we have flow. And basically, these are the words that basically don't make the ow sound. So these are O-W, these are O-U, and these are just words that don't make, that ow sound at all. Okay? And actually, I didn't write the O here. So snow, flow, and finally, no. Okay? This is how I pronounce snow, you guys. I don't pronounce the K. I don't say no. I say no. Okay? So I think that's it. Now let's move on. So here he wants us on exercise B to complete the text, use a preposition from the box for each space. Okay, so we have a few prepositions here, and I wanted to tell you guys, let me actually just open this, that, prepositions here are actually fixed, right? So you kind of have to memorize them, okay? And when each one is used. So let me start off here. So we have Peru is a country, dash, the west of South America. Or I actually said that by accident. So off will be here. So Peru is a country in the west. So in the west of South America. The capital is Lima, okay? It is dash the west coast. So it is on the west coast. Dash the country of the country again. Okay? So Peru is a country in the west of South America. The capital is Lima. It is on the west coast of the country. The second largest city, dash Peru, is Arequipa. Okay? So the second largest city in Peru. Okay? In Peru is Arequipa. It is dash the south. So it is in the south of the country. Okay? It is in the south of the country. Okay? The Amazon River flows into Peru, dash Brazil, dash the northeast. So let's read that one more time. The Amazon River flows into Peru, okay, from Brazil, okay, to the northeast. Okay? Or actually, I'm not, hold on, give me a second. So the Amazon River flows into Peru from Brazil in the northeast. Actually, not to, it's in. So I'll take this in right here. So in the northeast, not to the northeast. Okay? There is a very large lake in the south. Okay? So we have in the south of the country. So there is a very large lake in the south of the country. It is called Lake Titicaca. Many tourists come dash this lake each year. So many tourists come to this lake each year. Okay? Let me actually go down here. They also come to visit Machu Picchu dash the Andes Mountains. Okay? So they also come to visit Machu Picchu in the Andes Mountains. Okay? Now let's move on. Here we have look at the boxes. Okay, so this is kind of the same style, but we just have to arrange it. You guys know the drill. So number the boxes in order and copy the words to make sentences. Okay, so here we have on the coast is full stop, in the north, there, a city. Obviously, you guys know sentence is always at the end, or not sentence, sorry. The full stop is always at the end. It's what finishes the sentence. It's a full stop. So this will be number 6 because we have, 6 choices here. And number 1 will be there. Okay, so we start with there. Is will be number 2, verb to be. So there is a city. A city will be number 3. On the coast will be number 4. And finally, in the north will be number 5. And number 6 is obviously the full stop. So one more time. There is a city on the coast in the north. Okay? Let's go to the second one. We have of the country, their mountains are full stop in the south. Okay? Obviously full stop in the end, so this is just number 6 right here. And we have there. We're going to start with there as well. Okay? Now it's are instead of is. Okay? Because I'm talking about mountains. Mountains are plural, you guys. Okay? I used is here because it was one city. Okay? So there are mountains. Okay? So 1, 2, 3. In the south. So in the south will be number 4. Of the country will be number 5. And obviously the full stop in the end. Okay? Now let us move on here. Here we have exercise E. Look at table 1. Ask your partner questions about his/her country or town. Begin with are there. Okay? So let's look at table 1 here. We have is there a tourist center in the town? Or we have are there any toilets in the mall? So for example, if I want to ask you guys, or you could, always ask your classmate and such, you could always ask them with, things about their countries or something that's available in their town, or if it's there or not, okay? So I could say, are there any lakes in your country? Are there any rivers in your country? Okay? Things of that nature. So I could say, are there mountains in your country? Things of that nature. So now let's go to the second one here. Exercise F. Look at table 2. And actually, before we do that, here we go. Let's just go to table 1B here. Here we have the short answers. Okay, so for example, if you ask someone, are there any lakes in your country? He could, answer with a short answer. He could say, no, there isn't. Or no, there aren't, if it's plural. Yes, there is, if it's singular. Yes, there are. So if I'm talking mountains, and he wants to say no, as in a negative sentence, or negative answer, no, there aren't. Or if it's one mountain, no, there isn't. Yes, there is. Yes, there are. Okay, you get the idea. So now let's look at table 2. So here we have complete the table and write 3 sentences about your country or town with the same pattern. Actually, I'm gonna open this up right here. Okay, so we have the Po and the Tiber, and the Po and the Tiber. So I'm guessing these are rivers, okay, in Italy. So the Po is singular, and the Tiber itself is singular, right? It's a river, but it's one river, you guys. So we'll write here is. So the Po is a river in Italy. The Tiber is a river in Italy. But if I say the Po and the Tiber, now I'm combining them together, right? So now I have to use are. So the Po and the Tiber are rivers, okay? I added an S because it's plural. Are rivers in Italy. Now let's write 3 sentences of our own. Let's say, for example, we're going to be talking about, Saudi Arabia. So I could say things here in Saudi Arabia. I could say Jabal Sauda. Okay. Oh, I did not mean to do it like that. Okay. Jabal Sauda is, okay, because it's singular, a mountain in Saudi Arabia. He wants us to use the same exact, style. Okay, so this is how we're going to do it. So first one is Jabal Sauda is a mountain in Saudi Arabia. Okay, and second, now we're going to be talking about a desert. So we have Al-Ruba al-Khali. Okay, so here we have it. Let me see if I can write it down. Al-Ruba al-Khali. الخالي right here, okay, is obviously because it's singular, no matter how big, it's singular, you guys, is a desert in Saudi Arabia. Here we go. Oh, I did not mean to do it like that. Okay, Arabia, right? Now, finally, one more sentence to end it off. Oh, I did not mean to do it like that. We have, now let's talk about a city, for example, Taif, right? So we can say Taif is a city in Saudi Arabia again. Okay, so Jabal Sauda is a mountain in Saudi Arabia. Al-Ruba al-Khali is a desert in Saudi Arabia. And finally, Taif is a city in Saudi Arabia. Okay, the PO is, the Tiber is a river, and the PO and Tiber are rivers. Okay, now let us move on here. Here we have, oh, we already did this. Now let's move on to exercise G. We have rewrite each sentence and use the second pattern. Okay, so it seems that we have two patterns here. Now let's go to table 3 actually. So here we have this there is, and there are. Okay, there is a very large lake. There are very high mountains. Okay, I could say the lake is very large. So this is the first pattern. Okay, so for example, the first pattern is usually used to introduce, for example, a new item. So there is a very large lake. Saying something new. So there is a very large lake. Okay, there are very high mountains. Okay, the second pattern, on the other hand, is used to give more information about an item. It could be this. It's not the same style, but it's kind of giving us more information, and you'll understand once I start here. So let me open this. Now let's use the second pattern. Okay, so this was the first pattern. There is a very long river. Okay, now let me use the second pattern, which is the river. Oops, the river is very long. Okay, so instead of me saying there is a very long river, I said the river is very long. Okay, the second pattern, or this pattern that I just wrote, like I said, is used to give more information about an item. Now, let's move on to 2. There is a very small village. I'll say the village is very small. Oops, small. Okay? So the village is very small. Number 3, there are very big factories. And I'll say the exact opposite. Sorry, the factories are very big. So I'll say the factories are very big. Okay. Number 4, there are very big or very black clouds. Sorry, not big. There are very black clouds. I'll say the clouds are very black. So the clouds are very black. Ooh, very black. Here we go. Number 5, there is a very large cathedral. Okay, I'll say the cathedral. Okay, give me a second here. Cathedral is very large, right? And finally, number 6, there are very small shops. I'll say the shops are very small. The shops are very small. Okay, you guys? So this is the second pattern that he wanted from us. And now let's move on. So here we have, he wants us to look at table 4, and he wants to tell us, what are the rules. Okay? So here we have in a village, in a town, in a dash, in a street, in the north, in the south, in the east. Okay, so when I use in here, so in and a, it's usually used with places to live. So for example, in a village, in a town, in a city, in a street. But points of compass, points of compass, you guys know the north, south, east, and west. We use in the with these. So in the north, in the south. I don't say in the north, right? I say in the north, in the south, in the east, and finally in the west, right? So this was just really simple. Now let's go to exercise I here. Look at table 5. Can you see any patterns? Yeah, and it's obvious. We can see that the pattern is the word on, okay? So we use on a lake, on a river, on an island, on the coast, on your left and on your right. And it's especially, especially here with anything that comes as in directions. For example, left, right, I use on, right? So on your left, on your right, okay? Now let's move on. Okay, you guys, so now let's move on to the third page here of lesson 6, writing and grammar. And here we have exercise A. Do you need is or are in these sentences, and explain your answers. So let's actually go to skills check 1 here, and we have singular or plural verbs. So singular subject equals singular verb, and plural subject equals a plural verb. Let me elaborate on what I'm talking about here. So you gotta ask yourself, what is or are the subject or subjects of my sentence. So for example, the subject, by the way, subject is usually before the verb, and I say usually because it's not always before the verb, and we'll see multiple cases when we do the exercises here. I know this is a bit confusing, but bear with me, it's really easy. So for example, if I say they is plural, right? And it refers to a plural subject, so we use a plural verb with it, okay? So they are. The Yangtze is, and I used is here because I could refer to the Yangtze, or I think that's how you pronounce it, the Yangtze, with, I could use it instead, and with it I could use is, okay? It, I could use is, and I could use s. So for example, let's say the po here. Why do I use s here with the po? It's singular, and I use s because I could get rid of the po and use it. So if I say it, I could say it starts, okay? I never say two rivers joins. No, with plural, we don't use an s, okay? And like I said, the subject could be before the verb or after, just depending on the exercise, okay? So now let's move here to the exercise. Let me actually open it here. And we have number 1. There dash 2 rivers in the east of China. And there are. Let me write it down for you guys. So there are 2 as in plural, and rivers, okay? Rivers, twice, 2 rivers, okay? Plural, in the east of China, okay? Number 2, they dash the Yangtze and the Yellow River. So they are. And I'm talking about, I'm talking and here. You guys see this and? And refers to a plural as well, because I'm talking about more than one thing, right? So they are the Yangtze and the Yellow River, right? Number 3, the Yangtze dash south of the Yellow River. The Yangtze is south of the Yellow River. So the Yangtze, I could use it. It is south of the Yellow River. Or not usually it, but it's singular, okay? So singular, I'll use a singular verb, so is. Now, number 4, there dash a range of mountains in the north of Italy. And you guys will be surprised by this one. You see, I used is. So there is a range of mountains in the north of Italy, and I can already hear you guys, screaming, how is it an is when there's an s here? We have mountains plural, and I understand, I get your confusion, but we're talking about range here, you guys, okay? We're not talking about mountains, we're talking about range. And the word range, as far as I'm concerned, is singular. That's why I used is. There is a range of mountains in the north of Italy. Now, let's say I was, let's say if I write are. There are a range of mountains in the north of Italy. That's wrong, okay? It doesn't even sound right when you say it, when you're speaking. So there is a range of mountains in the north of Italy. Okay? Now let's go to number 5. The mountains in the north dash called the Alps. So the mountains in the north are called the Alps. Here we have mountains as in plural. Okay? And this is before. So the subject here is before the verb. Number 6. The big hotels dash in the high street are in the high street. The big hotels, plural, are in the high street. That's why I used are. The post office is on your left. That's correct. The reason I used is because post office is singular. Okay, you guys? Now let's move on here. Now, exercise B here, do you need an S with each verb? Okay, so let us open it right here. So here we have the Amazon River flows into Peru from Brazil. And I'll add an S here. Flows into Peru from Brazil. And the reason I added an S here is because I could have used it instead of the Amazon River. So if I say, for example, it flows into Peru from Brazil, that works, okay? The Po start in the Alps or starts in the Alps. That's correct. We use S because I could get rid of the Po and add it. So whenever I could add it to singular, subjects, I could, add an S here, right? So the Barku River ends in Lake Eyre, okay? Same thing as the Po and the Amazon rivers. Now let's go to number 4 because it's interesting. 2 rivers join or joins in the southeast of Australia. 2 rivers join. I'll keep it as it is. I'm not going to add any S. Why? Because 2 rivers, I can use it, but I could use, plural, right? And with plural, like I told you guys, we never add an S. So get rid of that S. If you wrote it, get rid of it, okay? Number 5, the Murray and the Darling joins and flows to the west, okay? So the Murray and the Darling join and flow to the west. So here we used and. So here we're talking about 2 things right now. So that means it's plural. So like I said again, we're not gonna add an S, and we're not gonna add an S here as well. So the Murray and the Darling join and flow to the west. Okay? Number 6, the tourist center opens at 9 o'clock and closes at 8 in the evening. So I'm talking about one tourist center, or so I could use probably it. So if I say it opens at 9 o'clock and closes at 8 in the evening, it works, okay? So singular, you can use S and S here as well. 7, it takes 10 minutes to walk to the bus station. And this one is really easy, guys. Come on, you should have written it by now. It's literally, it is right there, you guys. So it takes 10 minutes to walk to the bus station. Okay? Simple enough. Now let us move on. So let us okay, we did these. Okay, here we go. So here we have exercise E. Tick the sentences with correct word order. Okay. So let's read them. Give me a second. So we have the first one. There is in the south a lake. Obviously this is just wrong. That was weird. That was not even English. Okay? Let's go to number 2. There in the south a lake is still wrong. Now let's go to number 3 here. There is a lake in the south. Now that makes more sense. If I'm talking to someone and I tell them there's a lake in the south, that makes a lot more sense. And the words are, in a good order, so we'll take this one right here. And then we have 4. In the south, there is a lake. This one also makes sense. So if I say to someone, or if I'm writing to someone, I could say, in the south, there is a lake. Okay, so take that one. And finally, number 5, there a lake is in the south. This one just doesn't make sense as well. So these 2 are the only ones right here. Okay, so there's a lake in the south, and in the south there's a lake. They're both correct, right? Now let us move on. Here we have exercise F. Add the information from the box to the correct sentences in exercise E. Okay, so he wants us to add the information here to the sentences that we just got. Okay, so here we have there is a dash lake, dash in the south, dash. Okay, so I could say there is a very large lake of Peru in the south called Titicaca. Okay, so there is a very large lake of Peru, or actually no, never mind, I made a mistake. It's actually going to be the opposite. This will be right here, and this will be right here. So we have there is a very large lake called Titicaca in the south of Peru, because when you look at it with the previous one that I just did, I made a mistake. So there's a very large lake of Peru in the south called Titicaca. Doesn't make sense. Okay, so there is a very large lake called Titicaca in the south of Peru, right? Let's go to number 4. In the south dash is a dash lake dash. So now I think it's kind of the opposite. So in the south of Peru, okay, is a very large lake called Titicaca. Okay, so in the south of Peru is a very large lake called Titicaca. All right, now let's move on, and this is my favorite page. Let's go. So exercise G, read the sentences, circle the correct word or phrase in each case. So let me just get ready here. So number 1, are there any or some mountains in your country? Obviously, we use any. So are there any mountains in your country? Yes, there are. Okay, so we use there are. I don't say, you guys remember? A couple lessons ago we talked about this. We never use any in an answer. Okay, so I say yes, there are. I don't say yes, there are any. So yes, there are. Number 2. Okay, or actually, can I open this? I think it would be much better. Oh, here we go. Okay, are there any mountains in your country? Yes, there are. Okay, this is much better. Number 2, is there a or any river in the east? We don't use any here, so is there a river in the east? No, I don't say it isn't. No, there isn't in the first place. Okay, there aren't any rivers. And you know the reason why we used any here? We used any here because it was a negative sentence. Okay, so yes, it was an answer, but it was a negative answer, and that is the reason that we used any. Okay, hope you got that. We talked about this before. Anyway, moving on to number 3. The Murray is a or are a river. Obviously, singular is a river. Oh, I did not mean to do that, you guys. That was an accident. So it was any, there are, is there a, no, there isn't. Okay, there aren't any rivers in Monaco. Okay, now let's go to number 3. The Murray is a river. 4, there is a large lake or a lake large called Victoria. So obviously a large lake. Okay, let me be careful here. I do not want to make that same mistake again. Okay, we have number 5. Do you live in or at a village? Do you live in a village? Okay. 6. In the west from or of the country. Obviously of. I'm not from. It's in the west of a certain place, and in this case a country. Right? So we have number 7. Paris is on or in the river Seine or Seine. Okay, Paris is on the river Seine. Okay, so not in. It's not in. If it was in, there wouldn't be people living there right now. So number 8, London is not on the coast, not in the coast, okay? I never say in the coast, I say on the coast. And finally, number 9, look at the picture at or picture on the top. And obviously, picture at the top. Alright, okay? So number 3 is for a large lake, 5 in, 6 of, 7 on, 8 on, 9 picture at, right? Now let's go to exercise H here, and it seems that I cannot write my own notes, so I'm just gonna have to do this orally. So just stay with me here because this will probably get a little messy. So here we go. Now make notes about your country in table 1. Okay, so I'm gonna make notes and give information about Saudi Arabia. You could copy mine or put down other information if you have, or simply talk about your own country. Feel free to do whatever you like. So information about, and we'll write here Saudi Arabia, S capital and A capital. Okay, Saudi Arabia, and then capital. So we know the capital of Saudi Arabia is in the center. Okay, so CENTRE, center. And name of the city will be Riyadh. So RIYADH. And for other information, I could probably write over 7 million people live there. Okay? So over 7 million people live there. Okay? Any other cities, I'll probably say, as a place, West, name, the place that we're in right now, Jeddah, JEDDAH, and guys, don't forget the J is capital. Okay? And other information, over 5 million people. Okay? Now let's go over to mountains. Okay? And where I'll probably say south. Okay? And here we have name of the mountain, or mountains should I say, are Asir Mountains. Okay? So the name of the mountains is Asir. ASIR, A capital, you guys. Mountains. Okay? And for other information, I could say close to the Red Sea, because it's close, or the mountains are close to the Red Sea. Okay? Rivers or lakes, just simply no. So put a dash here, and dash here. Okay? Now deserts. Okay? For deserts, I could say large areas of Saudi Arabia, because I don't have, somewhere specific. It's a really big desert, you guys, okay? So I could say large areas of Saudi Arabia, okay? A name called the empty quarter, also known as Rub al Khali. Okay, so this is the desert that we're talking about. And for other information, we could probably write part of a larger Arabian desert. So it's part of a larger Arabian desert. And jungles and forests, nope, we don't have that here. So dash, dash, dash. And finally, islands. I don't think we have islands. So I'll just put this as blank, blank, and blank. Okay, you guys. So this was Unit 5, and I'll see you guys in the next unit. Peace out.